Hello. Okay, so it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Yoshida. We met actually through a Rotoractor. And where did she meet you? No, where did she meet you? At the Peace Forum, okay. And so we were introduced and later had lunch in Kenwood and got talking about telemedicine. And so Steve has an interest in that for the country of Myanmar. So that's how we were introduced. But Steve has a very interesting background. He's an attorney by trade, but don't hold that against him. His wife Noko joined us today. They live in Hawaii, but Steve started his law practice in Homer, Alaska. And got his undergraduate degree from UCLA and his law degree from Davis. He started a club down there, was part of the Chamber of Commerce, the founder of the Homer Community Foundation, the Center for Alaska Coastal Studies, and the Homer Sister City Association, say that 3 times fast, with cities in Russia and Japan, much like Sebastopol. Steve's on the board of the Alaska Community Foundation and Sister Cities International. But most interesting to me was Steve was a past district governor of a district that included Alaska, Yukon, Eastern Russia, and had 11 time zones. And he helped start 12 different Russian Rotary clubs. And he was the recipient of the Service Above Self Award. He has 2 sons in San Francisco Bay Area. He comes to visit, likes the wine country, and he's a fisherman and a photographer. So please welcome Steve Yoshida.
I went to law school at UC Davis, and every month we come to Napa Valley, of course, and spend our summers working in Alaska and our winters here. So we got lots of good memories 40 years ago. We had our first son back then near a hospital in Woodland. And we've been great wine and cheese tasters ever since. So we feel very happy to be here. Never been to Sebastopol, so we're making up for some lost time. As we were walking out the door in Hawaii, it dawned on me, I forgot to ask Jeff what the dress code was here. So I should have because I didn't realize that Aloha shirts are acceptable. So I'd like to tell you some stories that are interesting to you, and leave plenty of time for you to ask questions. So I'll start with what I'm doing now, and I'll go backwards to what I have done many years ago, especially my experiences in Russia. Not political, but maybe give you some insight. So feel free to ask. Now, when I was district governor, I was privileged to be a classmate of Sakuji Tanaka. Does people know Sakuji Tanaka? He was Peace Through Service president. And so when he became president, he had me do a number of assignments. And through his inspiration, we decided to carry through his vision of peace by starting a peace e-club. When Rotary permitted e-clubs, I don't know if you know about all of these innovative things that Rotary does. They usually go through a long process of seeing models and checking if it's going to work. Well, they, for many years, experimented with e-clubs, which are internet clubs. We don't physically meet at one place. Usually they are in one place, but they use the internet for meeting. But in our case, I felt that what is Rotary but Rotary International? So if Rotary permits it, why don't we make an international club? Why don't we have members from all over the world? So in my travels, I have many friends that I've lost touch with, that I thought, if they could be part of an e-club, I can keep my friends, especially people that I've really gotten to know well, and we could do many projects together. And so that's what we did. So we have now about 22 members in 8 different countries. And it's like Rotary International in one club. We have to be part of a district, so since I live in Hawaii, we made it part of the Hawaii district. But other than that, there's no, and the training for our presidents through Hawaii Pets, Far East, for Western Pets, there's no connection really with any other part of the world. So to give you one example of how that makes us unique, Sakuji had me chair a peace forum, out of which came an interest in Myanmar, because, do you know Aung San Suu Kyi, the famous humanitarian? We were blessed to have her as our keynote speaker, and the one who arranged it is a physician, refugee physician from Myanmar, Burma, in Honolulu. So after that, I invited him to join the E-Club, and I said, we could do projects that Aung San Suu Kyi asked us to do through our E-Club. So he has a sister-in-law and very prominent people. In fact, her chief of staff is his sister-in-law, and he agreed. So he puts together medical missions every year to Myanmar, and his sister-in-laws do all the arrangements, find a community to serve, take doctors and prescribe medicines and dentists and vision and the whole thing. So within one club, and his sister-in-law became a member also. So within one club in Honolulu, we recruit the doctors, and within our club, his sister makes all the arrangements on the Myanmar side, and we try to raise money and get grants for this mission. One example. The other thing we thought is if we're looking for peace in the future, we got to be looking to young people, because this is a whole new age, and this is sort of Sakuchi's theme as well. That it's this next generation that fills this big gap with us old folks, in that they know how to work with social media. And that communication is moving so fast that this generation of millennials need to be our future leaders in Rotary, because they're going to make the changes in this world that's going to have an impact. We could support them, but it's not going to be us. It's going to be hands-on young people. So we try to keep our meetings easy to attend. We use this latest technology, which we didn't even have until a few years ago, called Zoom. Have you tried Zoom? It's a interactive meeting where members, we send a link and members can sign on. Anywhere in the world where there's Wi-Fi, they can sign on, and you see them on the screen. They can share the screen. Jeff was our speaker. We had a number of members from different parts of the world attend, listen to Jeff. We record it and tell our other members who can't join us to pull up the recording, and they can actually see what our speaker talked about and make comments and keep active with the club that way. Many of our young members attend on their iPhone, in a car, while driving to work. And because we span many time zones, it could be early morning in Asia. We have California as our central place, because our president lives here. And the meeting is set for 5 p.m. because that's convenient for those in the United States. So our Boston member, he's at 9 o'clock. And our Japan member, he's at 9 in the morning. So we span 12 hours. It is difficult for some of our Asian members, so we're going to try to schedule separate meetings maybe for that. But that's equal. If you have any questions about the talk, feel free to ask. So you might guess I'm really interested in Rotary and how the network of Rotary works for international service and for international connections, because I think that's Rotary's big mission is for peace, and the best way to do that is youth exchange, these exchanges of people, understanding cultures of different countries, getting to know each other. And now it's economical. You don't have to physically travel anymore. You can actually communicate, see each other, connect with other people through the wonders of the internet. It wasn't always like that, which takes me to my earlier years when I was district governor of a region that included 2/3 of Russia. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about that. Not from a political point of view. Russia's in the news a lot. But I thought I'd give you a perspective of the country and of the people. Because that's what most impressed me. And some of my best friends, as a result of my Rotary experience, are in Russia. And in fact, our president nominee of my E-Club is a Russian woman who lives in Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk. Wonderful leader who will do wonders for our club. I never, I call this talk the Adventures in Rotary, but I never expected that this would happen to me. I live in a town very similar to this. In fact, I feel very comfortable here because we have many, the more I read about what you have here, the more it sounds like Homer, Alaska. We are a nuclear-free zone. We have 2 sister cities, one in Japan, one in Russia. We have over 100 nonprofits. Everyone is a volunteer. We have a community that's very active. We have youth exchange, and we have 2 Rotary clubs. We have 5 past district governors. I had nothing to do with it. 5 district governors live in a small town of 5,000. So I'm very proud of Homer. But when I moved there, which I did because of its wild and beautiful scenery and wonderful fishing, I felt a little bit lonely because I was born and raised in Los Angeles, in a big city, and I love the wilderness and I love what Alaska has to offer, but it's a little bit lonely culturally. Went to the Rotary Club meeting, and all the prominent business people were members, and this is going to be great for my law practice. I walked in the door, and about 2 weeks later, they didn't elect me. I think they appointed me the president of the club. And I tried to get out of it, and I couldn't get out of it for 2 years because they kept, the club had a lot of problems. But then I went to PETS in Seattle, and I discovered what Rotary was really all about. And it resonated with me. There is an international group of people with the same goals, and they have this fantastic network, and I could meet all these people, and I could invite them to this wonderful place that I live in, and share my fishing and my lifestyle, which I did. I became a friendship exchange chair and youth exchange chair, and I became a GSC leader. Had all of these great experiences. So many Rotarians came to Homer, Alaska, and I wasn't lonely anymore. So I said, well, maybe the next step is I'll run for governor, and maybe I can do more on the international, especially for peace, because that was sort of my desire, is to work for peace through Rotary. I have to say that I said that Rotary is not supposed to be political, but sometimes it helps to know a few people, which I did. So I tried once, and then twice, and then 3 times. And I said, well, maybe I wasn't really meant to be governor. When the club put my name in a 3rd time, and I was appointed. And I'm so grateful. You know how things happen in life. You think that things aren't working out, and the things that don't work out turn out to be better than it would have been. And what happened was, on that 3rd try, Russia was assigned to our district. I nearly fell off my chair when I heard that, Alaska and Canada would have been the biggest district in the United States. But with Russia, we were the biggest district in the world. We were now the size of South America. And it was my job to go to this huge area and start Rotary clubs. And I didn't know a word, I knew a few words of Spanish, but I didn't know a word of Russian. So I had a lot of experiences. And I think like most everyone else, I had these stereotypes. This was a crime-ridden, corrupt place where you fear for your life, and people are scowling and unfriendly and starving, and the government will be tracking your movement, and it's a fearful place to go to. Well, I discovered much different place. For one, my area was Siberia and the Far East. You let me know, Jim. I'm running out of time. So, a very cold place, but I discovered that the places that I liked, especially because I love the wild nature, was in Kamchatka and in Siberia. And the reason why these places were interesting was, Russia was what a Reagan called an evil empire. It really was, in the sense that the military, everything was for the military. The people suffered terribly, but every modern facility, every city, every resource, all went to the military. It's the only way they could keep up, was to keep everyone working for the purpose of building the military so they could be a world power. And I saw that. I was able to see that after the end of the Cold War, these cities were accessible. So the reason why so many of these places were still untouched and wild was because they were in strategic military areas, not even on the map. And no one was permitted to go there. So when things opened up, I was able to go to places that few people had ever even seen before. I discovered that the salmon in Alaska originally came from Kamchatka. They have more species of salmon there than anywhere in the world. So the theory is it all started in Kamchatka. They migrated to Alaska and other places in the world. Nobody knew that until they got biologists that went to Kamchatka and discovered the origin of a lot of these species. The people, you think support this government, but they don't. Especially, I found in Siberia and the Far East, where the resources are. There are more natural resources. For example, Lake Baikal. It's got 1/3 of the world's fresh water in one lake. The lake is a mile deep and has these huge rivers flowing into it. They have more gold and diamonds and coal and all these resources throughout Siberia. So they're coveted by China and other countries, but if they were able to put their act together, they would be so resource rich and efficient that they would be a very much wealthier country than they are. So anyway, here are all these resources. the local people get none of the value of those resources. It all goes to Moscow. Everything goes to Moscow. Train schedules are geared to Moscow time. So even though there are 11 time zones, if you go on a train, it's all, you have to set your watch to Moscow time. And all the flights are set to Moscow time. So it's a great octopus draining all the resources into one very rich center. And you see all the billionaires, all these very wealthy people, they are sapping the country, and the people on the ground are very poor. And health conditions are almost third world. I think they're still that way. So anyway, how do the Russians react to that? Well, I had a chance to recycle some of my old Russian jokes, so I'll do that on you. One of my best friends lives in central Siberia, and there was a time, things are better now, there was a time when the taxes of the government were so high that it was 110% of their income. 110% of their income. So, of course, how can you do that? Well, everybody cheats. And so the more they cheat, the higher the tax rate. So that's how it got to 110% of income. So they have two sets of books, of course. And so I told my friend, you have two sets of books, but if you get caught, aren't you afraid of the punishment from the government? And he said, well, where can they send us? To Siberia? So this black humor pervades the country. It's not a good lie. The other experience I had was in the early days, it's very modern, much more modern now, but in the early days they were trying to learn about customer service. So I had to fly Aeroflot. And the stewardesses on Aeroflot would come and ask, beef or chicken? And I'd say, chicken. And they'd say, we don't have chicken. $1 went a long way. So I used to take dollar bills. They'd love $1 for a tip and things like that. So I'd have a stack of, say, $100 and $1 bills. And I saw a beautiful picture that I wanted to buy. It was $100. So I went up to the clerk and I said, I want to buy this picture. But all I had was these $100 bills. And she says, too much money, cannot sell. She didn't want to count the money to sell this picture. She refused my purchase because it was too much money to count. In those days, well, you know, in a common society, they get no benefit. So it kind of makes sense. Why should they work counting bills? They don't get anything out of it. And who does it go to? These people that take everything back to Moscow. So that was it. The other last experience I'll tell you about is once one of the flights got canceled, so I had to buy a ticket. So I went up to the ticket counter, and she says, you need to get your passport checked first before you can buy the ticket. Come back after you get your... And I was waiting in a long line, and she was just berating all, especially the Americans. So I got to the front of the line, and she says, do you have your passport checked? And I said, no. She said, well, you have to get your passport checked, and you come back, and then I can sell you a ticket. I said, but I waited this long, can't you? I can show you the passport. Why do I have to go to a separate line? I'm sorry, it's the rule. So you have to wait in that line. It's another long line. So I waited in that line, up to the very end of the line, the same lady. That's the kind of wild capitalism that was occurring at the end of the Cold War. And these people had to survive that period of time. One thing, maybe I can explain maybe why Putin, the president of Russia, is so popular. You probably read that he has an 80% approval rating, why he's so popular. I think he's brought back a sense of pride to the Russians, but I can give you another example. In Kamchatka, during the early days, this is 1996 or 7, they had a terrible winter, very cold winter. It gets below zero. And the federal government sends money to the Kamchatka governor, who uses the money to buy the coal, and they have a big coal-fired, terrible pollution, central heating system. It heats water, and the water goes to everybody. And since it's a shared system, their systems are communist also. Everybody shares. So that hot water goes to all the apartments. You can't have individual service. Everybody has the shared thing. So one year, they didn't have any coal. And they couldn't figure out what happened to the money the federal government sent to buy the coal. People were freezing in their apartments. And this went on for about 6 months. And then all of a sudden, the money appeared. Well, it's too late, you know, the winter, harsh winter was over. But upon investigation, they found that the governor received the money, but was earning a high rate of interest with the money. So he was using the float. In other words, you get the money, hang on to it. Heck with the people, they're freezing to death. And then, so that he wouldn't get arrested, all of a sudden it would appear again. And nobody would know what had happened in the meantime. You blame it on the bank and, you know, this kind of stuff. But that's the kind of stuff that was going on. So when Putin was elected president, he fired all the governors, and he put in his own people, and he required that they answer to him personally, and if he sent them money, they would have to answer to him. And if it disappeared, you know, for whatever kinds of punishment there was. And that really made a difference to the people, because the people were being taken advantage of so much at the local level. So it sounds crazy to us, but a dictator really was what they needed, because it was so wild. There was no law, there was no enforcement. People were just getting away with whatever they wanted to based on their position. So people were jockeying to get the position so they can steal the money. You know, the whole place was wild, and he brought order through his strong arm into the country, and therefore became popular. So you wouldn't guess it, but that's one of the things that happens in Russia. You can't judge them based on our standards, because they live a very different life, you know, under very different circumstances. You know, I have a, yes?
I'm just curious, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I thought Rotary wasn't in communist countries.
You're right. Rotary is not in the communist countries, but it wasn't communist at that time. In 1990 or 89, the Cold War ended, and they purported to be a so-called democracy. And that's an interesting story too, because many academics in the United States went during this transition to try to make this communist, you know, they sold all the assets of the government, because the Communist Party owned all the assets to the people. If I could just, this is interesting, so I'll just maybe take a brief look. So they sold scripts. Everybody got scripts. It's democratic, right? The government owns everything, now you give it all back to the people. So you give it in the form of like a stock. Everybody got a share of stock in the assets of the country. Well, nobody could eat stock. So a few people who had money, they bought the stocks for nothing. They accumulated all the stocks, and they took over the oil companies, you know, the huge things. That's how you got these oligarchs who made so much money. They bought it for nothing, for these people who couldn't do anything. So anyway, it was a purported democracy, and the government agreed to let Rotary in, promising that there would be free speech and free travel. And in those days, those are the two things that stopped Rotary into communist countries, is they limit the freedom of expression and they limit travel. And now they still can travel, and supposedly they have free speech. It is limited, but supposedly. So Rotary is allowed in.
How do you do fundraising with an E-Club?
It's something we're working on. I think we take the banner like you do. We hold an auction, and we sell things to each other. But my method has so far been bringing some rich members in who don't have the time to do much, but they can provide us with funds that we need for our projects. And then we apply for grants, as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The language problem.
Well, one of the things about Russians, they're very well educated, and they're educated in the use of the English language. So not everyone spoke English, but we have excellent interpreters. And so we always had somebody with us who could interpret. And some of those are challenging because, the Rotary themes, for example, are very complicated, and they lose a lot in the interpretation.
Well, great. Thank you very much.
Great, don't go. We have.
Am I on, PJ? I'm not on. Okay.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
I got the winner.
Come on. Why I'm now?
Now you're on.
Now I better say something smart, huh? Okay. We have a drawing. All right, good. So you're going to choose one of those. And go ahead and read it. The last 4 digits is plenty.
8313.
5313. Well, thank you, Raul, for the wonderful door prize. But we'll just see if we need it. We're giving away a big pile of money.
Oh, I didn't like that handshake. That looked a little wrong. He draws the winning ticket, and then he goes and shakes his hand.
What would I do with it?
Buy a golden ticket.
And there it is.
Jack. Oh. Thank you.
There you go.
Look at that.
Thank you, Raul.
Thank you.
So here's my cartoon. Look, see, there's Cupid, and he shot an arrow at the girl, but he missed the girl, and he hit the shoes. So now she's in love with shoes instead of the guy. You see that, Gene? Okay. Rod must have a funnier joke than that. Here you go, Rod.
Well, on this Saints' Day, I thought we ought to have a biblically based joke.
Okay, be careful.
Jesus and Moses were out playing golf. And they got to the 8th tee, and it's up on a rise, and there's a steep slope down the fairway and a pond at the bottom, and then the pin is beyond the pond. And Jesus looks at that, and he feels the wind, and says to Moses, he said, I'm going to use my 9-iron. And Moses says, you can never get across that pond with a 9-iron. Jesus says, Arnold Palmer uses a 9-iron on this hole. And Moses says, you'll never do it. There's a little headwind. Well, Jesus winds up and whacks the ball way up, comes down, plop, in the middle of the pond. So Jesus says, rats. And he stomps down the hill. And just then, the next players, 2 Rotarians probably, in a golf cart, roll up behind Moses, and they're looking down the hill. And there's Jesus out, walking out into the middle of the pond. And one of the guys says, holy cow, who does he think he is, Jesus? And Moses looks at him and shrugs, no, he thinks he's Arnold Palmer.
I forgot to find you, Jerry. I'm sorry. You feel left out now. $15. Thank you very much. And Joe?
Here we go.
Happy trail.
Trail